afternoon to you. Thank you for staying tuned to 92.3 Nigerian Info. I am yours truly, Kalada Kurubatabo. As I would always start with, there is no show without you on the other side. So always my pleasure having you. And do follow us live on Facebook, on YouTube, and interact with us on X. Nigerian Info page is the handle. So it's time for us to focus on the local government. Now, some 2-3 months ago, or is it 4 months ago, the battle for the soul of local government in Rivers State started. We had the then local government chairman talk about, some of them, not all of them, talk about how, the governor and themselves were not interacting, very smoothly. There was to talk about withholding funds. There was to talk about going to federal high courts to get injunctions and orders and all of that stuff. And, as the show, or because of how the show is, we touched on all of these matters, or almost all of these matters, and we had the actors, the political actors, present on the show at several times. We've now seen a Supreme Court judgment saying local government should be autonomous in terms of administration, in terms of how they get into office and all of that stuff, right? So we've seen it. However, I can't help but be bothered because in recent times we've also seen high level of apathy at the local government level. So when it's time for election, we don't get to see Rivers people. I'm not going to talk about other parts now. I'm going to talk about my state. We don't see Rivers people come out en masse and participate like they would for a state election or for a national election. So I do not know what the problem is, but we will attempt to trash all of that on the show with my guest, who is also a stakeholder in Rivers State. More importantly, a PDP stakeholder. And I would want to know the camp he belongs to, if it's to the left or to the right. I'll ask him that question in a bit. However, we want to focus so that we can begin to raise the awareness. Just yesterday, you listened when I presented the 5 o'clock hour session, and we talked about the statement attributed to Tony Okocha, where he said the results, some time ago, were written in the office of the chief of staff. What an aberration. Once again, I don't discuss personalities, I discuss issues. So to join me on the show this afternoon is no other person, once again, a PDP stakeholder, a stakeholder in the state as well. He goes by the name Nnokam, Amadi Nnokam. Is an engineer, is a politician, I believe, an entrepreneur, and is a stakeholder from or in Falga. Welcome. It's good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, my first question. What do you make of the Supreme Court judgment? Saying local governments should be autonomous. Do you think that is what local governments need, to spend their monies directly? Because some people have argued that local government chairman will squander the money. Do you think that's the truth?
I do not agree with that. Because at the local government level, where you have the chairman, you have the councillors, they've been spending money.
Yes, they have.
They do have appropriation bylaws that aids them in their expenditures. When you talk about people being reckless with regard to expenditure, those are individual things. It happens even at the state and the federal level. It depends who is there and how responsible the person is. So the local government autonomy, even if we are having issues, we don't understand how the judgment came with regard to Section 162.
Okay.
But it's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, at all. And His Excellency the Governor, as an accountant, has shown that he believes in transparency, he believes in accountability. And he's one governor that has shown that he doesn't tamper with local government funds.
But okay, I guess I now know what side you belong to now. But when you say he doesn't tamper with local government funds, how can we be sure as to what comes into the state for the various local governments? One, because it's not going to the state account. And from what we have seen and heard, from past governors in recent times, it has become a revelation to what we already know, that governors in time past, or since 1919 or maybe sometime around 2007, have been spending local government funds on behalf of local governments. So how are we sure? But you say it's not a bad thing, but how will it affect the political structure in River State?
Especially here in the Niger Delta, we've been clamoring for resource control.
Yeah.
We've been clamoring for restructuring of the system. The system, we'll call it a federal government, a federal system, but practically, we're actually practicing a unitary system where the federal government at the upper level, everything is centered around them. So since that's what we've been clamoring for and we're having it, where the system is decentralized, it's not a bad thing at all.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm asking you, and I think maybe you missed that part of the question.
Okay.
How does this affect the politics in River State? Now, I don't know if you watched the interview of the FCD minister at one time when he said the political structure is characterized by, the federal legislators, the governor, the deputy governor, the state legislators, and the local government, and he called that the political structure. And we have seen the fight for that political structure. We've seen the various court cases here, there. How does this autonomy, so to say, affect the political structure in the state? Because some have said that it means that local government chairmen would just be almost as strong as state governors.
That's also a good thing.
Really?
Yes. Because a system where, for instance, what we experienced, where past governors could influence even the state assembly to even vote against themselves with regard to autonomy at the legislative level, is not a good thing. It's not good for democracy. It's not good for the development of the state.
Okay.
That's why the Constitution provided for different arms and different tiers of government. So you will see that we are moving forward. And fortunately for us in Rivers State, the governor is not against it. The governor is not against it. So where the local government chairmen become independent or quasi-independent is a good thing. It will help engender growth, speedy growth actually, in the state. Because when you talk about political structure is about the people. It's not just the elected officials. It's about the people. And the people, when you talk about the people, you talk about the local government. So when good governance, gets to the grassroots, then we are heading somewhere good.
Okay, and I like the argument you're bringing in on the show. But now let's look at it. You've talked about speedy growth, and you've talked about the fact that corruption at different levels of government is an individual thing. Do you think we have the right people at the grassroots level who can man these positions as chairman? Do we have these people? Because, for instance, if someone is coming to run for a state, let's look at 2023 elections, right? In River State, let's look at River State. We had Tonya Cole. A couple of people knew him, maybe from, previous political engagements. We had Dumo Lulu Briggs. A couple of people knew Dumo as an entrepreneur. We had quite a few other names, and people knew some of these people. But at a local level, what is it like? Because the image some of us have in our heads is that, people are picked by the political party and then thrown into the mix to become chairman at the local government level, and then the governors, not just River State now, try to control these chairmen. But if you're saying let us have an autonomous situation, like the Supreme Court has said, how does it work? Do we have these people who are bright enough, let me use that word, to man these local government offices?
The persons you've mentioned, be it at the state level, at the federal level, they all come from the local governments.
I agree.
Yes. So whatever you have at the federal level, at the state level, that's what you have at the local government levels. So we have the right people, we have very competent hands that can man the local government and bring development to the grassroots. We have very competent hands. Yes, we have mediocres. They are there. We're all mixed.
Let me rephrase. Now, these people you talk about, usually that run for state offices and national offices, they usually see the local government chairman position as below their level, right? And sorry I'm saying this, but what we've seen in the past has been people who are put in as local government chairman as a way to say, okay, you would help us fight for our political structures at the local level. So they are more like the army of whatever political structure, who is in charge of the political structure. And I'm now saying, sorry about that, I'm now saying, do we have people who would not go to fight for political structures, but would know that the reason they are there is for the development of the grassroots? Because I do not know if you've toured the 23 local governments. I've done that a couple of times, and the level of underdevelopment is worrisome. So do we have these people? In some places, they haven't seen electricity in many months. So do we have people who are bright enough to come up with innovations, to come up with ideas that will take, for instance, your local government farther forward?
I think I've answered that question.
I'm emphasizing the question again.
Yes, we have very competent hands to man the
and they will
governments.
be willing to run for local governments.
Yes. We've had challenges where some competent hands are being apolitical, and is not really good, for the state and for the nation. You understand? But there are very competent hands that are participating. At least the 2023 election showed that more persons are now participating in the politics of the day.
Grassroots politics, that's what I'm emphasizing on.
Yes, please.
Okay, so we'll go for a quick commercial break. When I come back, we'll talk about zoning. We'll talk about you're of the PDP. We'll talk about,
I'm of the simplified movement.
So there is no longer the PDP, is that what you're saying? For simplified movement?
I didn't say that. The simplified movement is about the governor.
Oh my. Interesting. When we do come back, we'll talk more about that. You would
much.
explain what you mean by you're for the simplified and not for the PDP.
I didn't say I'm not for the PDP. I said I'm for the simplified movement.
I would try to understand that statement when we do come back.
I'll help you.
All right, do stay tuned.
Thank you.
Nigeria Info.
All right, it's the bottom of the hour. I am Kala Dakurubatabo, and yes, you're listening to Hard Facts and 92.3 Nigeria Info. I'm speaking with Nnokam, Amadi Nnokam, and he's an engineer entrepreneur. And I've just been told he's not. I was thinking he's a PDP stakeholder, but I don't know. I'm confused. We'll get into that. But welcome once again on the show.
Thank you.
All right. So, just before the break, I asked you if there were creative minds, credible, strong minds that can push the development at the local government level, and you said there are, but some of them are political. I will let's start with, how do we get these people to be involved? Not just running for elective positions at the local government level, but also the people in Ward 1, for instance, in Ward 9, for instance. How do we get those people to come and vote in the right? Because if you look at previous elections, apathy, big apathy, I don't know how to emphasize on the apathy, but characterize the local government elections. How do we get these minds, these people, to be a part of the election? Because you've said, and I quote, that the political structure is all about the people.
Yes.
All right, so let's get your thoughts now.
Primarily, the responsibility rests on the Independent Electoral Commission at the state level.
Okay.
They need to build confidence. When the people are confident that their votes will count, they would participate. When Right Honorable Chibike Rotimi Amechi was the governor, he conducted an election at the local government level. And Professor Nimi Briggs was in charge of the RISEC then. That election, to a very large extent, we are credible. At the various wards, at the various local government in River State, it was credible, and a lot of persons participated. But after then, the most recent ones, because of the carry-go arrangement, it brought about apathy at the local government levels. So the RISEC do have a responsibility to let the people understand that these elections will be credible. And fortunately for us, we have a governor that doesn't interfere.
But do you think other people can interfere? Do you think RISEC, can be trusted, in your opinion? Given the fact that you're a player, you're a political actor in the state, do you think, in your opinion, from your close view of what is happening, remember the elections are not far away, October the 5th, do you think RISEC, the State Independent Electoral Commission, has got the capacity to hold credible election that would win the confidence of the people we're talking about?
Most times what affects the RISEC from functioning properly is who the governor is.
Okay.
That's why I said, fortunately for us, the governor currently is not interested in acts of impunity. You understand? He's not interested in ensuring that he must have his way all through.
Okay.
You understand? He allows the system function optimally. So we are hopeful that the current RISEC will conduct very credible elections.
Some would argue with you. Some people, because I do this every day, not every day, but Monday to Friday, week in, week out. And people will say, the reason why we're having the current local government impasse is because the governor refused to conduct local government elections, and because he felt that if he had conducted local government election at the time, that he would have lost the political structure. That's what even if I open the phone lines, I do believe one or two people would say that. So when you say the governor allows the system to function, I can't help but ask, is that really the case?
Yes, that's the case.
So the governor would not interfere?
At all.
Interesting. So why then? I'm just asking. You may not know, but I'm still going to ask you. Why then did we have the wait up until now before starting preparations for local government elections?
I may not be privy to certain informations why the elections, didn't happen before this time. But the election is here. The election is here.
Okay.
And it's good for those that have been asking for the governor to conduct elections to now utilize the opportunity. So the elections is here.
Okay. So you're saying that the governor will not interfere. I want to get that one.
He wouldn't.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's move to the next question. Before the break as well, you said you are simplified, not necessarily PDP. And I remember the governor had also said that PDP had failed him and his supporters. Can you help us make sense of that statement? Because you've just echoed what the governor said.
Whatever the governor decides now, he is the political leader of River State.
Of the PDP or of River State?
He is the political leader of River State.
And when you say, would someone in APC agree to that, or someone in APGA or Accord? I'm wondering, is he their political leader?
He's their governor.
There's a difference between politics and governance, some would say.
You can't do away with both.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
So
he's their political leader. He's their governor.
Okay.
Yes.
So the question then is,
he wasn't elected just by PDP members. The people elected him.
So on that note, he has carried the umbrella of the people, not the umbrella of the party. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to understand you, because I'm asking the question. When he says
the PDP at the national level have failed, and the governor has emphasized that enough.
And I'm now saying, what does it mean that it is now a movement? Because you have just echoed that. When you say it is now a movement, what does that mean?
Yes, like you are very much aware, we have a liberation in River State, and that brought about the movement. And this movement is not about just PDP members. We have members of Labour Party, APC, and other parties in the movement. So we project that movement because that movement is interested in the development of River State.
Interesting.
Yes.
So simplified it is.
Yes.
So what party are you a member of in that simplified movement?
For now, we are still in PDP. At least you are very much aware. The governor is currently in Nnokam.
Interesting. I wanted to get that one out there, and I got what I was looking for.
So
it means that you're still in PDP for now.
Yes.
What then do you make of the court order barring the PDP in River State from holding the Congress slated for the 27th of July? Because that would also mean that the PDP would not be able to field candidates, in my opinion, pending the determination of without Congress. How do you come about who would run for certain positions, right? Who would conduct, what's it they call that again? There's a name they call it for people who want to be candidates for an election. I just skipped my head.
Aspirants.
There's something that they do, right? I think
delegates.
Some delegate elections and all. So how do we get delegates, for instance, to vote for them if there are no congresses? So the question is, what do you make of it? Because it looks like the PDP may not be able to field candidates for that election, the local government election, which is not far. Yeah, which is not far away.
The court order stopping the PDP from conducting congresses in River State is in order.
Is in order, yeah.
Yes, because a lot of things are not in place.
Things like?
We've emphasized it. When you belong to a political party or any organization for that matter, the organization caters for you and you have your responsibilities, your obligations towards the organization. So a situation where we have an opposition in River State and let me not use the word ruling party, the governing party is also of PDP. The opposition mainly is also of PDP. What do you make of that? And we are not talking about primaries at the gubernatorial election. The governor is already sitting. What do you make of that? So a lot of things need to be put in place at the national level of the PDP to make way for other aspects to take place.
Interesting. So the governor and people like you who are still, emphasis on the word still, members of the PDP would not mind if the PDP is not able to field candidates for.